Dr. Avantika is a medical professional who obtained her medical qualification in 2018 from Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College, Hospital and Research Center in India. She completed her clinical training at the same institution as an intern and later worked as a clinical tutor in microbiology. During her training, she also worked as a resident medical officer at the B.M. Birla Heart Research Center and Hospital in Kolkata while preparing for her professional and linguistic assessments board exams. Between 2019 and 2020, Dr. Avantika worked at North City Hospital, Columbia Asia Hospital, and Parkview Hospital. She became registered with the General Medical Council in February 2021. At the time of the events in question, Dr. Avantika was working as a clinical fellow at the Royal Oldham Hospital, specifically in the hemato-oncology and the acute medical unit. Subsequently, since January 28, 2022, she has been employed at Northwick Park Hospital in London as a clinical senior house officer. The allegation against Dr. Avantika is that on May 11, 2021, while taking paper 2 of the Royal College of Physicians UK Part 1 online written examination, she accessed external web pages to research examination questions and potentially modify her answers. It is claimed that she was aware that accessing web pages during the examination was not permitted and that her actions were intended to gain an unfair advantage, making them dishonest. The allegation against Dr. Avantika is that on May 11, 2021, during the membership of the Royal College of Physicians UK Part 1 online written examination, she accessed external web pages to research examination questions and check or amend her answers, knowing that it was not permitted and that it would give her an unfair advantage. She has admitted to these actions and has also admitted that her actions were dishonest. The allegation states that her fitness to practice is impaired due to misconduct, and this is yet to be determined. The tribunal considered various documentary evidence, including emails, letters, regulations, and log timestamps related to the case. They also received a witness statement from Mr. A, the Quality and Policy Manager for the Royal College of Physicians, and testimonials on behalf of Dr. Avantika. Dr. Avantika provided her own witness statement and gave oral evidence during the hearing. On behalf of the GMC, the counsel argued that Dr. Avantika initially denied cheating when confronted by the Royal College of Physicians and only admitted to it when presented with video evidence. He also highlighted that Dr. Avantika failed to disclose the GMC investigation on her application to Northwick Park Hospital, which would be a breach of professional guidelines. The counsel asserted that this lack of disclosure and subsequent dishonesty affected Dr. Avantika's remorse and insight into her actions. He emphasized the seriousness of cheating in a professional examination and the fundamental importance of honesty in the medical profession. In response, the counsel, representing Dr. Avantika, acknowledged that the case raises grave concerns about her probity and honesty. He stated that Dr. Avantika accepts that her misconduct is likely to result in a finding of impairment and recognizes the seriousness of her actions. The counsel argued that the tribunal should consider the contextual circumstances surrounding the incident and the subsequent conduct of Dr. Avantika in assessing her fitness to practice. He emphasized that Dr. Avantika has shown remorse and made genuine attempts at remediation, including voluntarily disclosing the NPH incident and undertaking courses on probity and honesty. The counsel defended Dr. Avantika's testimony, stating that she was genuine and transparent in her reflections and responses. The tribunal must consider whether the single incident of dishonesty, combined with Dr. Avantika's conduct since then, is sufficient to determine impairment. Both sides presented their arguments regarding Dr. Avantika's insight, remediation efforts, and the impact of her actions on public confidence in the medical profession.
The tribunal determined that Dr. Avantika's actions, as described in the allegation, amounted to misconduct. They found her conduct, which involved accessing external web pages during an examination to research and modify her answers, to be a serious departure from the standards expected of a doctor. The tribunal concluded that Dr. Avantika's behavior was contrary to the principles outlined in the Good Medical Practice Guidelines and had the potential to undermine patients' trust in the medical profession. They considered her initial denial of cheating when confronted with the allegations as an aggravating factor. Overall, the tribunal deemed Dr. Avantika's actions to be serious professional misconduct and noted that fellow medical professionals would view her behavior as deplorable and well below the expected standard of a medical practitioner. The tribunal assessed whether Dr. Avantika's fitness to practice was currently impaired as a result of her misconduct. They considered factors such as insight, remediation, and the likelihood of repetition. While Dr. Avantika demonstrated some level of insight by admitting her dishonesty and expressing remorse, the tribunal found that her insight fluctuated and was not fully developed or consistent. They also noted that she had not fully explained how she would handle similar stress factors in the future. Although the risk of repetition was considered low, the tribunal could not completely exclude it. They acknowledged the progress Dr. Avantika had made in developing insight but concluded that further progress was necessary. Given the serious nature of her misconduct and the need to uphold public confidence in the medical profession, the tribunal determined that Dr. Avantika's fitness to practice was impaired. The GMC's representative argued that a period of suspension would be an appropriate and proportionate sanction, promoting public confidence and maintaining professional standards. He did not specify the length of the suspension but suggested a review hearing at the end of the period. The defense highlighted significant mitigating factors, such as the stress she was under at the time due to work and personal circumstances. The counsel referred to relevant paragraphs in the sanctions guidance, emphasizing Dr. Avantika's lack of previous misconduct, her cooperation, and efforts to remediate. The defense stated Dr. Avantika showed genuine regret and remorse, and her commitment to learning from her mistake. The counsel proposed a short period of suspension to allow her to continue her progress in developing insight and to mark the conduct in the public interest without unduly harming her career. The tribunal considered the appropriate sanction for Dr. Avantika's misconduct and determined that taking no action would be insufficient given the seriousness of the findings. Imposing conditions on her registration was deemed inappropriate and inadequate to address the dishonesty. Therefore, the tribunal decided to impose a period of suspension on Dr. Avantika's registration. This sanction was seen as appropriate and proportionate, reflecting the seriousness of the misconduct, sending a message to the public and the profession, and protecting the public interest. The tribunal took into account mitigating factors such as Dr. Avantika's good character, cooperation, full admissions, remorse, efforts to reflect and remediate, and low risk of repetition. The misconduct was viewed as serious but not fundamentally incompatible with continued registration, justifying a period of suspension rather than erasure. The tribunal considered the appropriate length of suspension for Dr. Avantika's misconduct, taking into account factors such as the seriousness of the findings, the risk to patient safety, and the mitigating factors present. The tribunal determined that a 3-month suspension would be appropriate in this case. This duration would send a clear message that the misconduct was unacceptable, act as a deterrent, and provide Dr. Avantika with an additional period to develop full insight. The tribunal decided not to direct a review hearing, as Dr. Avantika had demonstrated maturing insight, taken positive steps for remediation, and a review would be unnecessary and inappropriate. The tribunal concluded that upon the expiration of the suspension, there would be no concerns in Dr. Avantika resuming unrestricted practice, serving the purpose of promoting public confidence and maintaining professional standards. The tribunal considered whether to impose an immediate order on Dr. Avantika's registration, and determined that it was not necessary in this case. The tribunal concluded that there was no need to protect the public, as the substantive suspension adequately addressed the seriousness of the misconduct. The tribunal also considered the interests of the doctor and public confidence in the medical profession. Therefore, Dr. Avantika's registration will be suspended 28 days from the date of notification unless she lodges an appeal, and there is no interim order to revoke. Honesty is fundamental in the medical profession, as it builds trust between doctors and patients. Dishonesty can undermine patients' trust and have serious consequences for medical professionals. Dr. Avantika's actions were deemed serious professional misconduct, as she accessed external web pages during an examination to gain an unfair advantage. The tribunal determined that Dr. Avantika's fitness to practice was impaired and imposed a 3-month suspension on her registration. Honesty is crucial in the medical profession, and any breach of trust can and will have severe consequences.